Hi, I'm Chris Ralph, the professional prospector, and today we're going to talk about diamonds. Pretty exciting, huh? Really valuable stuff. Now, have you ever wondered if you might have found something pretty clear rock, something, maybe it was a diamond? Well, we're going to talk about what raw, untreated, natural diamond crystals look like. We're going to talk about where diamonds might be found and how you might identify them. Now, if you've ever been interested in looking for diamonds, you may find by listening to this video that diamonds were found in a lot more different places than you might imagine. Now, I'm at an old gold placer mine in California, and you would say, well, Chris, if you're going to talk about diamonds, why would you be at an old gold placer mine? Well, little known fact, in California in the early days of the gold rush, there were a lot of diamonds found in certain areas of the gold country, the mother lode country in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. Yeah, literally hundreds of diamonds were found by the prospectors when they were out mining for gold. Now, most of what the old time miners did was sluicing and stuff like that. And that's a really inefficient, not very good way of collecting diamonds. But we're going to talk about that. Now, another thing that I'm going to tell you that's going to surprise you is you may not know, but there was a commercial scale, full business, commercial type industrial scale diamond mine in Colorado in the 1990s. That's pretty amazing. Bet a lot of you didn't know that. So, of course, there's always the Murfreesboro diamond pit that you can go to in Arkansas and pay a fee and go hunt diamonds at an old diamond mine site. We're going to talk about all that stuff, what diamonds look like, how you can identify something that you might think was a diamond, and all of that. So stay tuned, and we're going to dive deep into the world of diamonds.
So today we're going to talk about diamond deposits, and I'm going to talk about where you can find diamonds and how to recognize rough diamonds, because, they have an unusual appearance to them, and, every little clear rock that you might find that could be a piece of glass or something else, that's not a diamond necessarily. All right, so because you're looking for rough diamonds, the first thing you need to do is to be able to recognize a rough diamond. So if you go out and look for something and you have no idea what it looks like, how are you going to be successful in finding them? So the first order of business is the recognition of rough diamonds. And then next, we're going to talk about how to recover diamonds. We're going to talk about diamond mining, including both gravels that have diamonds in them, and then also hard rock mines that exist and how they work. And then we're going to talk about recovery methods, including using grease like Vaseline or something like that, and then also gravity. And then we're going to talk about places to find diamonds in the USA and elsewhere. Diamonds have been found in a huge number of states in the United States. That might be surprising to a lot of people, but it's true. And there's reasons for it, and a lot of probably diamond deposits that exist in the United States that have never been discovered. So we're going to talk about that in detail at the end. Once you've figured out how to recognize a diamond, how to recover it, then we're going to talk about places you should go. So our first part, recognizing rough diamonds. You see, here's some cut diamonds and rough diamonds, and you see that there's a certain shape to the rough diamonds. Note the triangle shapes. That's a key thing for rough diamonds. Now here's some drawings that have been done, and the two on the left are what's called an octahedral crystal, and that's the normal shape for a diamond. Now it comes in other shapes, to be sure, but the most common shape is this octahedral shape. And you can see it's kind of like two pyramids, one pyramid right side up and one pyramid upside down, attached to each other. And then on the upper right, you can see how they cut these things to produce a diamond crystal from within the octahedron. You can see that most of it's used up to make a round diamond. Now the lower left or lower right hand side, is a modified crystal where you have basically the octahedron, but it's been changed and other shapes added to it. And this is pretty common in diamonds, so you end up with diamonds that are somewhat rounded but still have the sign of this octahedral crystal. You can still detect it from within them. Here's some pretty and beautifully clean octahedral diamond crystals. This is what the most perfect octahedral diamonds look like. But as I said, sometimes you get situations where there are other faces that modify the triangular shapes of the octahedron. Now you can still see, if you look at this, you see the various triangles, you see the triangular shape, the one upside down and one right side up, and then you see the other modifying crystals to it too. This illustration also shows something really interesting that you need to remember about diamond crystals. That is that they have a kind of a greasy look to them when they are perfectly clean and dry. It's called an adamantine luster, and that is a very unusual situation for diamonds. So you see these diamond crystals, even when they're perfectly clean and dry, looking a little bit as if they were, covered with some sort of oil or grease. And that's an important thing to remember. Another octahedral diamond crystal just turned over on its side, but you can again see the various triangular shapes that all come together to make the diamond crystal. A comparison of a couple of diamonds, again, both of them showing that kind of greasy look to them. The octahedron with some rounding on the left, and then the highly modified octahedron on the right that's more yellowish. Now, one of the things you need to remember, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, is that not every diamond crystal, in fact, the vast majority, are not perfectly white and clean. Most of them come in some sort of shade, and you can see the one on the right here is a shade of yellow, and that's very common in diamond crystals. Here's some more diamond crystals, some more modified than others, but in most of these you can see either, there's some here that are pretty much perfect octahedrons, but other ones that are less perfect, you can still see the triangular shape to it. You can certainly see the kind of greasy, oily look that they have. You can also see a couple of these are brown, a light brown and a dark brown. Again, like I say, not all diamonds are perfectly white and clear. In fact, most are not. Now, diamonds sometimes come in huge sizes, and a stone like this is literally worth millions and millions of dollars. So if you make a diamond discovery and you find something big, it could change your life. Again, it sometimes comes in some really huge crystal sizes. This is another rough diamond of huge size. Again, it would be worth millions. Some more rough diamonds. If you look very carefully at these, you can see the triangular shapes in them. It's pretty obvious to see. Now here is a selection of basically non-gem quality, in other words, less than gem quality, rough diamonds that were for sale at a gem show in Tucson, Arizona years ago. Took this picture, and all of these diamonds, although some of them do show the triangular faces on them, many of them are so modified and rounded that it's less than obvious, but you still have that greasy luster to them. And you can see these are ones that are just not clear. And the ones that are like this get used for grinding purposes. There's millions of pounds that get ground up every year for various grinding wheels and grinding surfaces, and hey, even nail polishing, fingernail polishing, or fingernail grinding, or filing types of items. Diamonds get used in lots of different things because of their extreme hardness. Here's a couple of more crystals, and one of the things I want to point out to you is that Diamonds that are much less perfect, that are more like this, these are uh, completely opaque. You couldn't make a gem out of them. They tend to be more imperfect in their crystal shape too. It's not just the cloudiness of the crystal. It's also the crystal shape is affected by the imperfections. And here you can see a diamond that one part of it is flawed and cloudy, but then the part more the upper left, that would be something that probably could be cut into a gemstone, although it would be clearly a yellow color. Now I mentioned diamonds do come in a lot of colors, and here's a yellow, but even more common is some shade of brown. And you can see in this selection, these are probably from Australia, because the big Argyle mine in Australia produces a lot of brown colored crystals, and jewelers have actually made a marketing pitch to try and sell these brown colored crystals, calling them champagne diamonds. And now this selection of diamonds is kind of a mixture of stuff that probably could be cut into gemstones, some of them, and yet others are imperfect enough that they probably would be used for abrasive purposes. Again, I mentioned yellow. Fancy yellow diamonds actually have a great value and are highly appreciated, but they also come in things like pink, and the pink ones are highly valued. And they come in blues. Blue stones are also highly valued. If you look carefully on this, though, even though this is very misshapen and lumpy looking, you can still see the triangular faces in this. Of course, the most famous blue diamond is the Hope diamond. It was probably originally found in India and stolen and smuggled and recut and a lot of different things, but it's a beautiful, very large blue diamond that is, of course, very famous. Now, you look at stuff like this, there's no triangle faces, the broken edges. These are not crystal faces, these are broken edges. This is the very famous, or the rough version anyway, of the very famous cubic zirconia, a well-known diamond substitute. It's not a diamond, these are not diamonds. This is rough cubic zirconia. It's what cubic zirconia looks like before it's cut into a gemstone. And it's a man-made thing. There are traces of cubic zirconia in nature, but no crystals big enough to cut actual gemstones from. But you wouldn't find something like this out in nature. If you were out hunting for diamonds, yeah, you're not likely to come upon a man-made chunk of cubic zirconia. It's just not going to happen, because somebody would have had to throw it out there. Because it's just not, this is not a natural thing. This is made by scientists in a lab. But the one thing that you may come across in your hunt for gemstones is what are called quartz crystals. These are what are known as Herkimer diamonds. It's basically a quartz crystal that's terminated on both ends. So it comes to a point, not just on the top, but on the bottom too. And these things are very pretty, but they have only very small value. They're not worth a lot of money, and they're certainly not diamonds. Years ago, I had a guy come to me with a quartz crystal. It wasn't terminated on both ends like this. It was only terminated on one end, but it's very clear and very pretty and of good size. It was like the size of an egg. And he was convinced that he had gotten a diamond worth millions and millions. And it only took me like 2 seconds to tell him, I'm sorry, it's not a diamond, it's a piece of quartz. And instead of being worth millions, it's probably worth about $10. And he just wouldn't take my answer. He said, no, it can't be, it's a diamond. And I'm sorry, it's a piece of quartz. Quartz is one of the most common minerals on the Earth's surface. And there are millions and millions and millions of tons of natural quartz crystals, and just not that many diamonds. Diamonds are valuable because they're rare, and they're also a lot harder than quartz and a lot more brilliant when they're cut into gemstones than quartz. They're just a lot more valuable. Here's another doubly terminated. In other words, it comes to a point on both ends. quartz crystal. It's got a lot of flaws in it, but this is another Herkimer diamond. And people do mistake quartz crystals for diamonds quite regularly. Here is a quartz crystal that was mistaken for a diamond. It was found by a lady who was prospecting near Forest Hill in California at one of the old tertiary gravel pits. And she was looking for gold, but she found this little beautiful clear crystal and was convinced, of course, because it's a little clear crystal, it must be a diamond. And the truth is, those old hydraulic pits in California, they did yield diamonds in certain places. There were literally hundreds of diamonds mined in California in the early days of the gold rush. And we'll talk more about that later. But she found this, and it actually was published in the Sacramento newspaper and got widespread notoriety. But I'm sorry, I can look at this in just a second and tell you by the crystal shape, by the lack of the triangles, by the lack of the greasy luster, and by just its shape in general, that it's a little piece of quartz, probably not worth 25 cents. But if it were a diamond, it would be worth thousands of dollars. But I hope that when you go out and you do your search for diamonds, you'll have learned from this video what real diamonds look like, and that you won't get stuck mistaking a piece of quartz for a diamond. Okay, so in our next part, we're going to talk about mining and recovering diamonds. You can see here a couple of little handfuls of these are natural diamonds. They really are. But you can see by looking at it, most of these are not gem quality. But still, they're real diamonds. Now, most people think of mining for diamonds as some kind of gigantic open pit mine, which this is a very large diamond mine. This is the Argyle mine in West Australia, and in kind of northwest Australia. And this is one of the largest diamond producing mines in the world. Now, I mentioned earlier that it does produce some beautiful, clear, colorless diamonds and some other colored diamonds that are attractive, but it tends to produce more than an average amount of brown diamonds, which, like I say, have been specially marketed by jewelers as some sort of special deal champagne diamonds, because of course champagne is a lot better seller than brown. Okay, but this is a big diamond mine. That's what most people think of. Here's another diamond mine. This one happens to be in Russia. Russia mines quite a few diamonds. They actually happen to have quite a bit of diamond deposits in Russia. This is a big open pit diamond mine in Africa. And so you can see, again, the standard open pit type of mining. They mine all this rock, they blow it up and break it into small sizes, like you can see the excavator digging in, and they put it in trucks and haul it off and process the rock to extract the diamonds out of it. Now, one of the things I want to say about diamonds, and most of people know that the rock that the most common rock that has diamonds is called kimberlite, and that actually comes from an explosion from deep within the earth. Literally, there builds up so much pressure down in the earth, and there's a little weak point or something that material explodes up to the surface from these deposits. And you'd think that, well, okay, then you get a lot of chunks of this and that and the other thing in kimberlite, and sure enough, we're going to see that. But this is also why it's called a kimberlite pipe, which is another descriptor for the type of deposit, is a kimberlite pipe, because it's a long, tall, deep deposit that goes way down into the earth. Here is a diamond actually surrounded by its host rock, the kimberlite rock. It's a very dark colored rock. Here's another diamond, beautiful octahedral crystal. You can see the triangles, and it's in a dark colored kimberlite rock. That's the host for it. Another example of a diamond in the host rock. This one you can see has been river rounded. This is a river pebble that had a diamond sticking out of it. Remember that when you're out searching for diamonds. Some more kimberlite with a diamond in it. This one's harder to see the triangle faces, but if you were there and taking a closer look, you'd be able to see it. Now, you can see that the rock is not uniform. It looks like it's made of bits and pieces and chunks of other rock within it. And that's due to the explosive power of the kimberlite pipe, that it brings up all kinds of other rocks with it as it explodes upwards. This is another piece of kimberlite. This is one that doesn't have an obvious visible diamond showing. It's just to show this rock, kimberlite, and how it's made of a bunch of chunks of different kinds of rock that were basically brought up with it as it exploded upward. Now, we showed you big giant pits and large scale mining with trucks and excavators and all, but actually a significant part of diamonds that are produced in the world are produced by small operators. And these are African folks and families out mining diamonds in a little pit. And, they don't make a huge amount of money doing this, but they're very poor and they eke out a living doing this. Again, another area where they're digging down and mining diamonds and eking out a living. One of the things that you need to know something about is what they call conflict diamonds or blood diamonds. And basically, it's a lot of little operations like this are controlled by local area dictators or jefes, leaders that are in control, and sometimes the money that they get from the operations of these guys are used for violent or war type purposes, and that's how the conflict diamonds are called, conflict or war diamonds. That's another term. But what happens is that it's not like these individual guys in this picture are mining their diamonds and saying, oh, I want to use this diamond for violence. Of course not. They're just trying to eke out enough money so they can buy some food and buy clothes and keep their family fed and that kind of stuff. And they have to, as a matter of practice, there's not really an option. They have to sell their diamonds to somebody, and sometimes it goes through 2 or 3 hands, and one of the hands may be the warlord before it gets to somebody who might cut a diamond and make jewelry out of it. And the problem with it's what's called the Kimberley process of labeling diamonds from certain countries. It's not like the inspectors go out and talk to every miner and say, hey, are you selling your diamonds for violent purposes, or are you trying to be peaceful? No, of course not. That's could never be done. So what happens is that there's some bureaucratic group that just labels, all the diamonds from this country are considered violent diamonds. So any diamonds that's produced by anybody in this country is a conflict diamond and can't be sold. And what happens is really the only people that suffer are the individual guys like this, because their product gets sold for less money. Because what happens is, let's be honest, diamonds are worth a lot of money, and so you have a place like this. Let's say it's in a country that is restricted because the diamonds produced here are considered conflict diamonds. What happens is the diamonds have value. They get smuggled, they get sold, they get, falsified papers, and bing, by the time they get to Antwerp or Europe or New York or something, now they're perfectly clean and not conflict diamonds. It's not like, they mine the conflict diamond, somebody says no, and so they just throw them back on the ground. Of course not. So, it's a system that really, in all honesty, it's a system where big mining companies use a bureaucratic UN process to keep their foot on the necks of small miners like this. And that's the truth. Now, these guys mine, and like I say, most of the diamonds they produce are not gem quality, but some are. And it's kind of a gambling thing. They might produce a few diamonds that are worth a year's wages or 2 years' wages or 5 years' wages. Or they might produce a few diamonds that are just not worth that much money. But it's a gamble for them, and many of the times it does pay off sometimes. Again, more situations where people are digging through the gravels. These diamonds are diamonds that are not in the original hard rock, kimberlite, or other type of rock that hosts the diamonds, but it's been eroded away. The original hard rock deposit has been eroded away, and the diamonds, because they're durable and hard and last, they've been washed into gravels, and these gravels are what the small scale miners work. And it's not just desert areas, it's jungle areas, and these people work using very primitive methods, and actually their recovery rate for the diamonds is not really that great. Diamonds are a little heavier than average rock, and so the diamonds are a little heavier than average rock, so they can be caught in gravity-based systems, but they don't work really. Gravity-based systems are not that great. Here's a miner in Brazil using a sluice box to process gravels that contain diamonds. And they use a sluice box, and like I say, they do recover some diamonds, but not that it's not 100%. It's not even probably 80%. It's maybe more like 60 or 70% of the diamonds, and the other percentage just goes into the tailings. Now, when you're out hunting for diamonds, you can use a sluice box like this to recover diamonds, and you will get some diamonds if you're processing gravel that has diamonds in it. A more common type of thing is to use what's basically a plate, a flat sheet of aluminum or steel or something, and cover it with a thin coat of Vaseline. There's things that are like Vaseline, but that also work. But Vaseline is a common one, and because it's an oily type thing, and diamonds have this oily exterior, and the diamonds don't wet. They don't wet easily, so they tend to basically stay dry even when they're underwater. And when they come in contact with something like this thin coating of Vaseline, they stick to it. And this is the process that a lot of the big commercial diamond miners use, is this ability to stick to a greasy kind of a surface. That's what they use to capture diamonds. And this is a little diamond from the Midwest United States, captured by a guy who was looking for gold and diamonds and processed a lot of gravel, and sure enough, he caught a diamond. Now, this is not really a nice gem quality diamond, but it proves in Midwest gold bearing gravels, there's diamonds in there too. We'll talk a lot more about that in a few minutes. But now you've had a chance to see how diamonds are mined, and we've talked a little bit about how they were recovered, either by gravity type systems, by sluice boxes or panning, or much better, by inserting one of these sheets of flat material covered with some sort of grease like a diamond, grease like Vaseline, and then you can basically combine this where you have the material goes over this and it goes over the riffles of a sluice box to better improve your diamond capturing ability. And I hope you'll have success like this when you're out prospecting for diamonds. So now let's talk about where you should go to look for diamonds, because there are diamonds all over the US and in a lot of other places around the world too. We're going to talk about that right now. Well, now we're finally to the part that most people, I think, were itching to get to, the part of where can you find diamonds? And well, it's a lot more states than you might think in the US anyway. I've highlighted all the states which have basically verified diamond finds in them at one place or another in yellow here. And you can see it's a large percentage of the US states have had significant diamond finds, and you'll note that there have been a good number in the Appalachian region, in the Western region, and in the Great Lakes region. Now, in the Western region, it's related to some deep faulting, and there's a number of places in California that we're going to talk about in just a minute. And in the central Midwest, northern part of the Midwest, the Great Lakes region, The diamonds are associated with glacial materials that have been brought down during the ice ages from Canada. And because Canada is actually where the real source of most of the diamonds are. And you can see I've drawn on the line here, the line of how far the glaciation extended southward during the last ice age and pushed material far. And it's associated with the edges of those where there's been erosion, and basically the glacier material is very low grade, but as streams or other waterways cut through it, they concentrate the diamonds and heavy minerals. And these are actually places where you can also find gold in these states. Gold has come along down with the glaciers from Canada as well. And so searching for gold is searching for diamonds too in these states. The Appalachian regions, there's some areas that are known producers of diamonds, and a number of placer diamonds have been found over the years. But perhaps we could continue to Canada, and I can show you that in the northern states and into Canada, there's just been a huge amount of diamond exploration in the last 20 or 30 years. 40 or 50 years ago, basically there were no known diamond-bearing kimberlites in Canada, and yet now there's all kinds of them that have been found, and it owes to the fact that we've gotten a lot better about exploring for diamond deposits. In addition, there's been new diamond deposits found in the northern tier of the U.S. as well. But perhaps in the U.S., the most famous location for exploring for diamonds is at Murfreesboro, Arkansas, at the Crater of Diamonds State Park, located just a little bit south of town. This is the site of an old diamond deposit, a known diamond area that has produced many thousands of diamonds. There was actually a diamond mine here for a few years, but it wasn't very profitable just because there wasn't enough diamonds to make the whole operation profitable. But there's still quite a few diamonds there, and it's a state park, and they allow you for a fee to come and search the grounds, and you can keep whatever minerals you might find, be it diamonds or anything else. But there are some nice diamonds found, and indeed this is a diamond that was found there not too long ago that's almost 9 carats. Isn't that amazing? Here's one that was found even more recently that's a little over 3 carats. You can see the triangular side faces on this piece. This is a brown diamond crystal, but still quite beautiful. Now, one of the things that's been discovered in the last, 30, 40 years, 30 years plus, has been the presence of diamonds and kimberlites in Wyoming, and then just south of the state line into Colorado. There's been a lot of exploration, and there are a number of reported diamond placers. Some of the placers where diamonds have been found, placer mining is people out looking for gold, and they pan or dredge or do whatever in their search for gold and end up finding diamonds. So there's a number of places in Wyoming that have been reported, and here's some diamonds from Wyoming. There you can see that most of them are on the brown side, but still they're very beautiful. You can see, if you look at them carefully, the triangular crystal faces. Now, the one on the upper left is a cube. That's another shape for diamonds. It's not nearly as common, but diamonds do come in cube shapes too sometimes. It's, like I say, not the most common. The most common is either the octahedron or some derivation, some modification of the octahedron. So, some diamonds from Wyoming. Here's some diamonds from just across the state line. You see that the main part of diamonds in Wyoming is right down at the south part of Wyoming, almost to the Colorado state line. And of course, geology doesn't know state boundaries. It just continues across. And south of the state boundary into Colorado is a series of kimberlites that have diamonds in them as well. And in fact, in the 1990s, there was a commercial scale, full commercial operation diamond mine in Colorado that produced for several years. Again, the the amount of diamonds wasn't quite enough for them to make a full profit, and eventually they went out of business. But the Kelsey Lake diamond area is still there in Colorado, and it was the site of active mining. One of the most unusual ones that people don't think of is diamonds in California. And as I said at the beginning of this video, that a number of placer mines in California produced a surprising number of diamonds. Here's two diamonds that were found in the early days. This is very old pictures from a very old book, a book more than 100 years old. But one on the left is a diamond found at Volcano in Amador County, and the one on the right, a rough diamond found at the Spring Creek Hydraulic Mine at Cherokee in Butte County. And actually, Butte and Amador counties were the two most productive counties in the state of California, although diamonds were found scattered here and there. A number of diamonds were found not far from Placerville in Placer County. So don't forget about the California diamonds, and again, these were found as a part of processing gravels in the search for gold. Like I say, the best of California's diamonds, the most have come from Butte and Amador, with some from Plumas and some from Placer County as well. Here's a little map that shows where the Cherokee or Spring Valley mine is, located just north of Oroville in Butte County. It's a few miles north of Oroville and not far from Oroville Reservoir. A part of this map is now inundated by Oroville Reservoir, but the Cherokee mine site is not inundated. It's above the water line. Now, in the last 30 years or more, there have been a huge number of diamonds found in Canada, and Canada has gone from a place where nobody knew of any diamond deposits in place to being a major producer of diamonds. And diamonds have been found in many of the provinces of Canada. And so a little bit of research will show you that diamonds are quite prominent in Canada. Now, diamonds honestly are found worldwide, and the major diamond producing countries of the world include Botswana, Russia, South Africa, Angola, and Namibia. Those are all, other than Russia, those are African countries, and there's quite a bit of diamonds mined in Africa, but not everywhere. Also Australia, Republic of Congo, again in Africa, and then Canada. So, but there are also, in the past, the world's big producers of diamonds have included Brazil, and centuries ago, India was the biggest producer of diamonds. So diamonds have been found in many, many places, and there are a number of countries where it's mined by hand on a small scale, as I've shown you in the videos. It really is an interesting place. I've been into West Africa myself looking for gold and seen some diamonds that some of the miners there had found as a part of their search for gold. And anyway, the search for gold and diamonds are definitely related. Now, one of the things that I want to stress to you is that I've mentioned a lot of different places in various states, in various provinces, and permission may be needed. Just because I mentioned that diamonds are there doesn't mean that you have permission to go on private property or any other property that may be there that might have diamonds. And the status of property changes from time to time. People sell properties and new properties come. And so I've not tried to do a research project to figure out access for all these places. You may find some particular place you're interested and want to explore. You'll need to do your own research and determine the land status and come up with any permissions that you might need.
So I hope you enjoyed my presentation today on diamonds, and I hope that maybe you've learned something about where diamonds are found, how diamonds form deep in the earth originally, but it always has to be something that brings them up to the surface. And I hope that it's been educational for you, and when you're out in the field, you'll feel more knowledgeable, that you'll know that if you come across a diamond unexpectedly, well, you'll be ready to identify it. So if you want to be a better prospector, if that's your goal, overall goal is to be better at finding gold, finding diamonds, gemstones, and all kinds of other things like that, well, I wrote a book called Fistful of Gold, and it will tell you all you need to know about prospecting and geology and related stuff, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it right now.
Okay, so I wanted to tell you a little bit more about my book. I wanted to be able to share the knowledge that I've gained about finding gold and how to be successful. And so I spent years literally writing this book, Fistful of Gold. It's more than 350 pages long, which is why I say it's an encyclopedia of everything you need to know about finding your own gold. I've sold more than 8,000 copies and I've got a lot of really great feedback on it. It just is the most complete book on the market. It has information about finding gold that literally is not available in any other book that you're going to find for prospectors, because I took technical stuff from geologists and other mineral scientists, and I've translated that into language that the average guy can understand. You don't need a PhD to go out and find gold, but the information that scientists have learned over recent decades can be of a lot of help to people. So it's in this book. If you're interested about finding gold, panning, sluicing, nugget detecting, dry washing, the geology of gold deposits and how they form, it's all in here. And like I say, it's more than 350 pages long. So if you'll just go to the description underneath this video, you can take a look. I've got a link in there to take you to Amazon, to the site where the book is sold. And I think you'll really enjoy it. Take a look at all the people who've commented on this and have really liked the book. It has a very, very high rating for a book. And also, I have a website, my own free website that you can take a look at. I've got all kinds of information on here about doing research and how to find gold, a lot of good information, stuff that basically couldn't fit into my book. And so I put it on this website, and I have a link also for that in the video description. So take a look in the description and you can click on the link and it'll take you to my website. And finally, if you like this presentation, I've got a lot more coming out. Here's a 3.5 ounces of gold that I found a couple years back in one area. I've got a lot more of these videos coming on gold, gemstones, hard rock, placer, a lot of metal detecting. There'll be lots of metal detecting stuff. So if you really enjoyed this, click the subscribe button and then tick the notification bell off, and YouTube will let you know when I publish new stuff. And hit the like button as well. And please comment on these videos, because I'm interested in what you have to say, and I promise to answer any questions you have. So if you are wondering about anything, or think maybe I didn't cover something thoroughly enough in a video, then let me know, and I'll be happy to try and help you out and give you whatever information you need. So thanks a lot, and hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you again real soon.